And ladies and gentlemen, there is a powerful secret that transforms ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. The ability to act as if everything always works out, and not because life never throws storms our way, but because belief bends reality. When you carry certainty, the universe begins to arrange itself in your favor. And let me share with you 7 guiding principles to live by this law. See the end before the beginning. Every great achievement in history began first as a vision in the mind of its creator. And the skyscraper was finished in imagination before the first brick was ever laid. The book was complete in the author's spirit before the first word touched the page. And the empire existed in thought before a single foundation was poured. To live as though everything always works out, you must learn to see the end before the beginning. And this means cultivating the ability to hold a picture of success so vivid, so compelling, that it pulls you forward with unshakable force. Most people wait until circumstances look favorable before they allow themselves to believe. But the rare few, the ones who rise above the average, begin with the belief that it is already done. They don't wait for proof. They create proof by acting in alignment with the end they've already seen. And the mind does not distinguish sharply between what is vividly imagined and what is physically experienced. When you repeatedly hold the vision of victory and your nervous system begins to accept it as truth, your decisions shift, your posture changes, your energy speaks before you utter a word. People around you feel it, this invisible certainty, and they respond to it. Opportunities open for those who already look like they belong where they are headed. Think of it as living in reverse. Instead of asking, "What should I do now to reach that outcome?" you ask, "If the outcome is already secured, how would I be thinking, speaking, and then moving right now?" This mental inversion alters everything. Fear no longer dominates your choices because you are no longer acting from uncertainty. You are acting from inevitability. And consider the builder who draws a blueprint. He does not simply hope that a house will come together by accident. He sees every wall, every door, every window before a single tool is lifted. And that vision guides every decision, every action, every resource. In the same way, you must build the blueprint of your success in your imagination with such clarity and detail that when you step into reality, you are simply walking through a structure already completed in your mind. Most people wander through life asking for directions at every corner, hoping someone else can show them the way. But when you have seen the end before the beginning, you become the compass. You no longer seek permission or validation. You are guided by the picture of completion already stamped upon your soul. This principle requires discipline, because the visible world will constantly try to contradict your inner vision. The bank account may not yet reflect abundance. The business may not yet show profit. The recognition may not yet arrive. But you must hold the image of completion so firmly that circumstances bend to your conviction, rather than your conviction bending to circumstances. Your greatest weapon is the mental picture of victory. Nurture it, feed it, visit it daily in the theater of your mind. The clearer you see it, the sooner it will become visible to everyone else. Refuse to entertain defeat. Defeat is not what happens outside of you. Defeat is what you allow to take root inside your mind. The moment you grant defeat a seat at your table, and it begins to dictate your choices, weaken your will, and rob you of the energy that could have carried you forward. To live as though everything always works out, and you must develop the discipline to shut the door on defeat the instant it knocks. The average person entertains defeat constantly. They rehearse it in their imagination, and they speak it in their conversations. They prepare for it in advance, as if expecting it to arrive. They ask questions like, "What if this fails?" Or, "What if I lose everything?" And in doing so, they give life to the very outcome they fear. The mind once focused on defeat will unconsciously create the conditions to fulfill it. This is the trap that keeps millions locked in mediocrity. But the uncommon individual approaches life with an entirely different posture. They refuse to grant defeat even a whisper of attention. When faced with obstacles, their inner dialogue does not say, "I might fail." It says, "This will bend, this will yield, this will eventually work in my favor." They understand that temporary setbacks are not defeat. They are adjustments, tests, and lessons wrapped in disguise. It is not about ignoring reality. It is about choosing which version of reality you will fuel. Defeat will present itself, yes. Challenges will rise, yes. But whether you dwell on them or dismiss them determines whether they grow stronger or weaker. When you treat defeat as irrelevant, you rob it of its power, and you begin to search for solutions instead of excuses. You act from confidence instead of hesitation. Imagine 2 athletes. One encounters difficulty and immediately wonders if he has what it takes. And doubt seeps in. His body language sags, his performance falters. The other athlete encounters the same difficulty but interprets it differently. To him, and this is not a signal of failure, it is an invitation to dig deeper, to summon hidden strength, to stretch beyond limits. The second athlete is not immune to struggle, he is immune to surrender. and that immunity comes from the refusal to even consider defeat as an option. When you cut off retreat, when you eliminate the language of failure from your vocabulary, your mind sharpens. And it begins to search for openings, strategies, and leverage points that would have remained invisible had you been entertaining thoughts of quitting. Energy that would have been wasted in worry is now directed toward action. Persistence replaces hesitation. And soon, what once looked like defeat begins to transform into progress. And this principle is not about arrogance. It is about resilience. It is the quiet but unshakable conviction that no matter how many times you are pressed, bent or delayed, you will not be broken. And it is a stance, a decision, a vow. Defeat may circle me, but it will never live within me. Carry yourself like the person you intend to become long before success appears in your bank account. And your reputation or your daily life, it must appear in the way you carry yourself. You cannot wait until you arrive to begin embodying the identity of your future self. If you want doors to open, if you want opportunities to flow, you must dress, speak, and act as though you are already the person you are becoming. The world responds not to who you are today, but to who you present yourself to be. And confidence, presence, and conviction send signals far louder than resumes or credentials. People sense whether you believe in yourself, and their reaction mirrors your posture. Walk into a room unsure, and then you shrink your own influence. Walk into a room certain of who you are becoming, and you draw attention before you utter a single word. This principle is not about false appearances or pretending, and it is about alignment. If your goal is wealth, how would a wealthy person carry themselves? If your destiny is leadership, how would a leader speak and move today? If your vision is global influence, and how would an influential person treat their time, their words, and their relationships right now? When you carry yourself as if you already possess the qualities of your future self, and you accelerate the process of becoming. Think of it this way: an actor preparing for a role studies every detail of the character, how they walk, how they speak, how they hold their head. They embody the role until the performance feels natural, until the audience believes. You are both the actor and the audience of your own life. The more you embody the role of your future self, and the faster the world begins to accept and respond to you as that person. Consider how many people sabotage themselves by acting smaller than they really are. They downplay their gifts, and speak with hesitation, and walk as though they don't belong in the places they dream of entering. But the few who rise, the few who succeed, do so because they dared to show up with presence before the recognition arrived. They didn't wait for applause to stand tall, and they stood tall and created the applause. Carrying yourself like the person you intend to become changes subtle things: the way you shake hands, the way you answer the phone, the way you introduce yourself, the way you treat time, the way you invest energy. Each action becomes a rehearsal for the destiny you are building. And soon, and what began as deliberate effort transforms into natural habit. This principle demands consistency. You cannot embody your future self on Monday and shrink back into your doubts on Tuesday. And the more you practice alignment with your intended self, the stronger your identity becomes. Eventually, you no longer act as if, you simply are. And by then, and circumstances will have caught up with the reality you chose to embody long before anyone else could see it. Turn setbacks into setups. Life will not always move in a straight line, and the path to success is never free from obstacles. Yet the truly successful do not measure their progress by how smoothly things unfold, and they measure it by how skillfully they transform every setback into a setup for greater achievement. The difference between those who succeed and those who falter is not circumstance, it is response. And a setback is simply a moment in which life refuses to go according to plan. It is not a verdict, it is information. The question is how you interpret it. Do you see a roadblock? Or do you see a detour pointing you to an unexpected advantage? Those who act as if everything always works out have trained themselves to see every challenge as an invitation. They do not lament what went wrong, they ask, what opportunity is hidden in this difficulty? Consider the inventor, the entrepreneur, or the artist. Every failure along the way is a classroom, and teaching lessons that cannot be learned in comfort. When Edison encountered thousands of unsuccessful experiments, he did not see defeat. He saw data, he saw learning, and he saw a path forward that was being illuminated step by step. He understood a fundamental law: setbacks are not the opposite of success, they are the building blocks of it. And turning setbacks into setups requires a shift in mindset. It demands that you stop reacting with fear, frustration, or blame, and start responding with curiosity, strategy, and action. When a plan fails, and instead of quitting, you analyze, adjust, and improve. When a relationship disappoints, instead of closing off, you learn new ways to communicate, to influence, and to inspire. And when an opportunity slips away, you redirect your energy toward creating another that is even better. This principle also teaches patience. And some setbacks are not instant lessons, they are slow-moving tutors. You may not see their value today, But if you continue to act as if everything always works out, and you will eventually uncover the hidden advantage. The universe often disguises progress as difficulty, and only those willing to dig beneath the surface discover the hidden treasures. And setbacks also cultivate resilience. When you treat challenges as setups, you develop mental toughness and flexibility. And your confidence grows because you have proven to yourself repeatedly that no difficulty can stop your forward motion. Each apparent failure strengthens your resolve, sharpens your judgment, and expands your capacity to handle even greater challenges in the future. It is not enough to endure setbacks. You must actively convert them into leverage. Every disappointment can fuel determination. Every delay can refine strategy. Every mistake can illuminate a path previously unseen. By embracing this principle, you transform obstacles from enemies into allies, from dead ends into launchpads. Those who master this art understand a powerful truth. The measure of a person's success is not the absence of setbacks, but the presence of unyielding resourcefulness. And discipline your inner conversation. The words you speak to yourself are far more powerful than the words you speak to others. Your inner dialogue shapes your beliefs, directs your choices, and ultimately molds your destiny. To act as if everything always works out, you must take control of the conversation that rages quietly within your mind. If left unchecked, doubt, fear, and negativity quietly undermine even the strongest ambitions. But when disciplined, your inner voice becomes your greatest ally, guiding you steadily toward success. Most people speak to themselves in ways they would never tolerate from another person. They say, "And I can't do this. I'll probably fail," or "This is too much for me." They repeat these words like a broken record until their mind accepts them as truth. And the mind, obedient as it is, begins to orchestrate circumstances that confirm those beliefs. What you tolerate internally, you will eventually experience externally. Disciplining your inner conversation requires vigilance. You must notice the thoughts that rise unbidden and question them immediately. Are these words helping me move forward, or are they holding me back? Whenever a negative thought appears, it must be confronted, reinterpreted, and replaced with a constructive alternative. The mind is like a garden, and if you allow weeds of doubt and worry to grow unchecked, they will choke the life from the seeds of opportunity. But if you plant thoughts of confidence, gratitude, and determination, and they flourish and bear fruit, it is not enough to simply suppress negative thoughts. You must replace them with affirmations of possibility and action. Say to yourself, "I am capable. I am resourceful. I will find the way forward." Repeat it until your mind internalizes the message. By speaking in terms of certainty rather than limitation, you condition your subconscious to act in ways that align with success. Your inner conversation then becomes a compass, pointing you toward solutions instead of obstacles, and toward opportunity instead of fear. Discipline of the inner conversation also requires consistency. One positive thought is not enough to outweigh a lifetime of conditioned doubt, and it must be practiced continuously, cultivated daily, and defended fiercely. As you strengthen this habit, your focus sharpens, your energy intensifies, and your confidence becomes unshakable. And you begin to notice opportunities that once went unseen, and setbacks no longer feel threatening. They become information to act upon. Every great achievement begins with mastery of the mind. Before you can conquer the outer world, you must conquer the inner one. When your thoughts are aligned with the belief that everything will work out, your actions naturally follow. You stop reacting with hesitation and start moving with intention. Your mental energy, once scattered by worry and indecision, becomes concentrated, creative, and unstoppable. And by disciplining your inner conversation, you gain command over the most powerful force in your life, your own mind. And the words you choose to speak internally are not merely reflections, they are instructions. They set the trajectory for every decision, every action, and every outcome. Master this, and the world outside begins to bend in harmony with the world within. Surround yourself with believers. No person succeeds in isolation. The energy, attitudes, and beliefs of the people around you have an extraordinary influence on your own mindset and outcomes. To act as if everything always works out, you must carefully choose the company you keep. Aligning yourself with those who see possibility, take action, and refuse to dwell on defeat. Surrounding yourself with believers does more than inspire you. It elevates your standards, and strengthens your resolve, and accelerates your progress. The average person allows themselves to be pulled downward by negativity, skepticism, or doubt. They spend time with critics, pessimists, or those who are content with mediocrity, and gradually their own vision dims. Every conversation becomes a subtle reinforcement of limitation, every interaction a reminder of what cannot be done. And in contrast, those who act as if everything works out are deliberate about their associations. They seek out individuals who share a mindset of possibility and progress, and knowing that these relationships are catalysts for growth. Believers are more than cheerleaders. They are mirrors and magnets for your highest self. When you are in the presence of someone who genuinely believes in potential, Their energy awakens yours. Their confidence in action becomes contagious, and their commitment to solutions inspires you to mirror that behavior. These are the people who do not focus on problems, they focus on strategies, opportunities, and relentless forward motion. And they see obstacles not as dead ends but as stepping stones to something greater. The power of believers also lies in accountability. They do not allow excuses to fester. They challenge you to align your actions with your words. They ask the difficult questions, push you beyond comfort, and remind you of your own capabilities when doubt arises. And their belief is not superficial or fleeting. It is rooted in the understanding that progress is intentional and consistent effort is non-negotiable. When you spend time with such individuals, and you internalize their standards, and your own belief system becomes more robust. Equally important is the way believers celebrate success. They do not begrudge your accomplishments, they amplify them. Their recognition reinforces the truth that achievement is possible, that effort pays off, and that every small win is a signal that the bigger picture is within reach. In an environment filled with doubt and criticism, it is easy to question your direction. In the presence of believers, however, and your confidence grows because the collective energy around you validates your vision. Finally, surrounding yourself with believers expands your network of opportunity. When you align with people who think and act with certainty, doors open that would remain closed if you were isolated among skeptics. Ideas circulate, partnerships form, and momentum builds because belief attracts action, and action attracts results. The individuals you allow into your inner circle are not just companions, they are the fuel for your vision. And they are proof that possibility exists, living reminders that success is not just a dream. It is a shared reality waiting to be claimed. Take bold action without waiting for permission. Waiting for approval is the enemy of progress. Too many people stall in life because they are waiting for someone else to validate their dreams and their ideas or their ambitions. To act as if everything always works out, you must embrace the power of decisive action and refuse to let hesitation, fear, or external judgment dictate your pace. And bold action is the language of those who create their own opportunities, the secret that separates those who succeed from those who only wish they could. Bold action begins with mindset, and it is rooted in the unshakable belief that you are capable of handling the results, whether they align perfectly with your expectations or challenge you in unexpected ways. And those who wait for permission often seek comfort before movement. They consult endlessly, overanalyze every variable, and delay indefinitely while the world passes them by. In contrast, and the bold recognize that action itself is the teacher. Every step taken reveals insight, clarifies direction, and generates momentum. Waiting, by contrast, teaches only regret. Consider the most successful people in any field. They act first and adjust later. They launch businesses, publish ideas, propose collaboration, and step into leadership roles not because they have every assurance, but because they understand that hesitation breeds stagnation. And they know that the act of moving boldly generates more opportunities than any careful planning or cautious waiting ever could. Bold action transforms intention into reality, and even when the path is unclear. Taking bold action also requires courage, but not the absence of fear. Fear is inevitable, and it is not a sign that you should stop. It is a sign that you are stepping into growth. Those who act as if everything always works out do not eliminate fear. They channel it into determination. And they do not ask permission from anyone, because they know that the power to act resides within themselves. By taking initiative, and they become the authors of their own lives rather than passive participants in someone else's script. Bold action compounds. One decisive step sets the stage for the next, and once you commit to action without hesitation, doors that seemed closed begin to open. Connections are made, opportunities appear, and confidence grows. Action attracts results, results reinforce belief, and belief fuels even greater action. It is a self-reinforcing cycle that separates dreamers from achievers. Finally, and taking bold action without waiting for permission demonstrates mastery over circumstance. Life will never perfectly align with your timing, or guarantee approval from the world. Waiting for validation is surrender disguised as prudence. Those who embrace boldness understand that the world responds to initiative. They move first, learn fast, and adjust with precision, and knowing that progress is made by doing, not by asking for consent. Every great success story begins with a single act of courage, a decision to act without waiting, and to claim authority over one's own destiny, and to step forward even when the outcome is uncertain. Bold action is not reckless, it is purposeful, strategic, and unstoppable. It is the declaration that your future will be created by your choices, not by the hesitation of others.